Hello and welcome to Beyond the Bio. This week I've been chatting to Joe Simpson. Joe is actually the CFO here at Moja, and finance people can quite often be boring. No offence to any finance people. I know some very interesting and exciting finance people, but in the role of CFO they tend to have to be pretty straight-laced. So I really love working with Joe because she's not, yet she does have all that important knowledge that you need from your CFO. A little bit more about Joe. Since setting up her business consultancy and accounts practice in 2002, she's helped hundreds of entrepreneurs create and scale their businesses. Joe's passion is to support ambitious entrepreneurs in building businesses that are profitable while living a life they love. As an accredited profit-first professional and multiple business owner, Joe has taken all of her knowledge and expertise to create a range of courses, a membership and a bespoke mastermind, which she launched into the online world in 2016 as the Financial Growth Academy. Since then, Joe has worked with some of the fastest scaling and highest net worth online entrepreneurs in the UK, allowing her to bring even more value to her programs. Joe's mission is simple. She wants to help thousands of entrepreneurs overcome their fear of finance and become the most profitable version they can be. Welcome, Joe. Tell us a bit more about what else you do, because you do everything.
Thanks, Sophie. So yes, my name's Joe Simpson. I'm an accountant, but I've got an accountancy practice and I've also got an online training academy for entrepreneurs in the online space to really learn things about money and finances.
Amazing. So doing some really cool stuff in the online and offline world. So today we're going to have a chat about what you have seen with your clients who have invested in the time and perhaps in some cash in profile raising activities to become bigger personal brands and the impact that's then had on their business. So is there anyone that's springing to mind straight away when I'm saying that as a question?
Yeah, actually, I've got quite a few clients that, in fact, truthfully, all the clients that are the most successful ones have all invested in their personal brand and getting themselves out there. I'll name a few, but just off the top of my head, Laurie Burrows is one that I would say she has really invested in her personal brand. She's got an online business, online marketing business. And when she first started, she realised that she was a little fish in a big pond. And I think this is the big area that I see, especially in the online space or in the offline space. You come up with a great product, you come up with a great service, but nobody knows who you are. And you've got to stand out now. So one of the things, for example, that Laurie did, she actually invested in some personal branding consultancy, and somebody had recommended that she stood out because she was going to be doing a lot of photographs online. So she has blue hair. She still has blue hair. In fact, she changes her hair depending on what her branding colours are that month. But it goes blue or green, and she always wears a hat.
I've noticed the hat. I don't know. I know of her through you, but I don't know her. But yes, very distinctive.
So that's just a very, very simple thing that she did to stand out online. Now, a lot more people are doing that. I certainly wouldn't be changing my hair colour to stand out online. But the other thing that I'm seeing is, somebody like Danny Wallace or Carrie Green, some of my other clients, they've really got known in their space and outside. So when I say outside, I talk about the offline space. I personally have done very well on the online space by getting well known offline. So that's by raising my profile, by going to events, by making friends in networking events. You and I met in 2016 in a networking event.
In Palmer.
Yeah, just name dropped there. But yeah, that's the bit that I think people are missing, is that they're not realising that they've got to get known out there. They're little fishes in a great big pond, and the more that they stand out. So investing in personal branding, not just what you look like and what colour your hair is, but how you're coming across, being seen at the right places, being seen at the right awards, and actually having a strategy for that, which is one of the reasons I love what you guys do, because you're really focusing on, that personal brand and getting people seen in the right places, and not just, going for awards for the vanity's sake or anything like that. It's all about that whole visibility piece. And I think visibility is probably the key word there, is that getting yourself out there and getting well known and investing in that as a strategy and as a financial investment as well. It is so important to do it.
Obviously, I'm a huge fan of this strategy because our business is built around it. But I think one of the things that I see with people that are just starting out is they usually understand the value of that, and they understand that they need to put themselves out there and they need to be more visible. But I think when people are starting out, especially if they are a a one-man band starting out on their own and they don't have a team and they don't have a huge income is they know they need to do all this stuff, but they haven't really got the budget to do it. So as someone who specialises in finance and telling people what they can and can't spend, what do you think is the tipping point for people to start investing in this kind of stuff?
Straight away. So
Right.
I am probably different to a lot of, and as you know, because I'm your CFO, and compared to some people that will say cut on expenses, don't spend the expenses. For me, marketing, PR, visibility, that is where your money has to go. The people who invest in marketing, PR and visibility are the ones that are the most successful. I've seen a lot of people invest in product development, creating the perfect course, creating the perfect product to sell. All of these things are important, but if people don't know who you are, then, you know, it's pointless. So just like anything, you can do things for a lower budget. You know, there's online courses. Obviously, Moja has got some online courses coming out that can help you with the different strategy that you want to go down. So there's things that you can do for very little budget as well. So yes, you could write your own book, you could create your own podcast, you could be on other people's podcasts, you can be an expert in a membership. There's so many things now you can do to raise your profile at the lower end and not spend a huge amount of money. And as you start getting well known, that's when you can say, right, what am I going to invest in? And for me, it's probably the one thing I recommend all clients have is a marketing and PR budget.
That's so interesting. And I suspect that a lot of your contemporaries might be a bit more serious than you are.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why, not that I'm saying you're not serious, you can be very serious when you need to be. But I think that your approach is quite refreshing. And that was why we wanted to work with you as a CFO, because you get this world and you get the value that what we do brings. So that's very good to hear. And I think as well, it's thinking about the fact that people understand the value of it. They know they need to do it. And actually there's very cost-effective ways where they can do it themselves, essentially, when they're starting out. I guess the cost of that, though, is it's their time when they need to be doing all those other things to grow their business as well. So it's maybe doing some of those things early on that they can do themselves, but being really disciplined around the time that they spend on it.
Absolutely. And the time, money, one of the reasons that I've been successful in my business is that I've always got extra people in to help or looked at areas that are not my strong point. So it's not just about whether I can do it cheaper. It's always about, is somebody better than me on this? So, for example, one of the things I'm a big advocate is people should never do their own bookkeeping. Get an expert to do it. They'll save you money on taxes. They'll give you the right information.
I can't think of anything worse than doing my own bookkeeping. You'd have to do it on a spreadsheet. I don't know.
There is people out there who love doing it.
God.
But this is the thing, and it's the same with anything that you do. Time is something that we can't get back, and my time is so valued. I spend every minute of my time is accounted for and what it's going to get me the best return on investment. So for me, I sometimes feel like I go to the opening of an envelope, but I don't. I'm very strategic at what I go to. And I've got, plans when I go there. I want to meet the same people. And for me, particularly, I've invested not just money, but like you say, time and the travelling, everything that I've done. And just recently, probably the last 6 months, I'm getting people come up to me now and say, oh, you're everywhere. And I've had other accountants come and say, I can't get on the online space because you're everywhere. I've been doing the online space since 2016. And I think for me, I understood the value of spending money on this as well. And an example I always give everyone, and I'm not even sure if you know this about me, but I used to have clothes shops.
Did I know that? I wonder if you told me that in Palma, maybe.
Yeah, I probably did. So I had clothes shops. And when we had the clothes shops, I sold them just before 2008. So it was just before Facebook was really becoming a thing.
Yes.
So for me, we had a shop. We had 2 shops and then we had an online space. People would walk past. We got passing trade coming into the shop. There's your marketing right there. So we invested in somebody coming and doing our shop window. We invested in all the branding. We had to get people into that shop. So we used to advertise. And I tell this story quite a lot because we used to spend $5,000 on paid advertising in magazines when nobody came into the shop wafting. It was the Scottish version of OK magazine. I won't name them, but I don't think they're going anymore. And nobody would come in and say, I found you in this advert. I bought it in the newsagents in this little local village. You got no data. Somebody bought from you. We did ask them, where did you find out about us? My point is that was an investment we had to spend. And 30% of my budget in Curvy Girl was the name of the clothing brand, went on marketing. And that was just normal. Then when people went into online advertising, I see it now all the time, for example. I know we're not just talking about free advertise, we're talking about paid advertise. People will spend £15 on Facebook ads and tell me they're not getting a return on investment. It takes time, and it's part of the overall strategy. So where you once had a shop front, you are the shop front. People buy from people. So you have to prioritise you and putting yourself out there. One of the things that I do, for example, pink is in my branding. You were at an event with me last week. I wore pink. I'm limited to what I wear to events. I always try and be standout. Now, that's something that doesn't cost any money because I'm buying an outfit or wearing an outfit anyway, but I'm trying to make myself more memorable. The time of going to those events, you know, it's a huge amount of my time. So if I'm up at the opportunity to maybe pay to speak on a stage, which not many people really talk about, but people are paying. If that's going to get me in front of my target audience, I've never actually paid to speak on a stage, but I've got clients who do, and it's a really, really good strategy that's working as well. So you have to have a budget for that. So,
and you mentioned there about when you had the shop, you were spending 30%
yes.
on marketing and stuff. It's very hard, isn't it, to give someone advice around a percentage because everyone's got different businesses and you probably need to spend more in certain industries.
Absolutely.
What would you think around maybe someone starting out and someone that's a bit more experienced, very ballpark that they should be spending on?
Starting out, and this is the difficult thing because if I was to start again, I've been in business 23 years this summer. If I was to start again, I literally would put all of my money, my startup budget, into my personal branding. Right, and I genuinely would. Now, whether that means, you know, hiring a stylist, hiring somebody who can, you know, get me awards or get me out into the publications that I want to be in, or to do my book, which I still haven't done. I'm launching my podcast. Not yet. I'm launching my podcast this year. So I've used my time instead of money to get my name out there. But I'm quite happily to pay for it as well, if that makes sense. So I would say right at the beginning, they have to do that. Particularly now, there's more entrepreneurs than ever. There is more people doing this since COVID, particularly with flexibility. You know, when I started, I was 24, 25 when I started my business. And I was seen as brave. Now we're saying, well, I am saying to kids of 24, 25, why are you not starting a business? So there's more people, so you have to stand out. And there's more and more platforms to stand out on as well now.
Of course. And something we were just talking about earlier today was around funding for things and the fact that there's funding streams available, funding pots in local areas. Maybe sometimes people don't realise that there is funding available that you can spend on these things. Now, we do have listeners on Beyond the Bio in all different areas and different countries as well. What's the easiest way for people to find out what funding's available where they live?
The best thing to do is to go and look for their government website, so their local council website. Now, you could be, now that's not just where you live, that could be the area around you that you do business in. So for example, I live in Scotland, I'm in Fife, but I've also got an office in Edinburgh, so I qualify for Edinburgh and Fife funding. So you go into the local website and you just register to be updated. Even if you just wanted to type in grants and the local area that you're in, it might therefore come up with the right link for you. I would always recommend, now I'm not sure in England if this is the case, but in Scotland, we have a business gateway where you can go along and get an advisor. They are the best people to do it. Spend the time speaking to the right people to get an idea of what funding is out there. I've had people who've paid for, 6 months work with me to create financial plans. And for personal branding, people understand now, and particularly when they're allocating the budgets for these, if you can the quicker you can get yourself out to market and people know about you, the quicker you can employ people. The more money you're going to make, the more taxes you're going to pay. So there is funding available for all sorts of things now, and that is always my suggestion is to go to your local government website.
That's a great shout. And like you say, be registered so that when things do come out that you're ready to go with them. We got very excited in the office today because there was an alert to say there was some local funding available, and we wanted to share
and
that.
Sign up for the alert, sign up for all of them. Even just go, if people don't know where to start, go and look where you pay your council tax or your business rates. And there's always a page on the website. They're not something that they come and shout about if you don't know about them, which is why it pays to know the right people and speak to the right people and get on the list.
Good chat. And is that something that because anyone that's got a business will have an accountant?
Well, you would think so.
You would think so. But accountants should be aware of these things too.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, one of the things that I do, and because we work together, is I work very proactively. I'm not really interested and don't take any end of year accounts on now. We're very proactive. So I'm interested in, ways to make my clients make more money. That's what I'm here for, to help them make more money. So if I can think of different funding opportunities for them, the better. I want all of my clients to be making money. To the stage we've even just renamed our profit and loss statement now. We're calling it a profit statement, so everyone has to make a profit because we're not calling it a profit and loss.
Oh, I like that. Oh my God, that's such a positive spin,
exactly,
isn't
that's
it?
why we're doing
Profit
it.
Statement. Excellent, I like it a lot. So you've mentioned a few things that clients have done to increase their profiles and a few things that you've tried. What have been the best things that you have done that have delivered a good return for you?
So for me, it's speaking in networks. Absolutely speaking in it, getting on stages, offering to speak in people's memberships. For me, particularly, I've never focused very much on what can I get in those, if that makes sense. I never look at one and go, they've only got 100 members, I'm not interested in speaking in that. I've always just spoke in as many as I possibly can, as long as I can add value. That's the big thing that I'm looking for. I've never gone in thinking, what can I get? It's always been, what can I add value?
It's a good approach, I think, isn't it? And then just good things happen.
Absolutely. And the amount of people that I've had over the years was, I might have, I spoke at an event last year and somebody had heard me say that I'd done a lot of construction work, because that was actually what I trained in, was construction, taxes. And she went home and told her husband got in touch with me. Now, was he my target market that day? Absolutely not, but they came through. So I've always kept that open and honest. For me personally, and anybody who knows me knows this, I've got a bit of a fear of awards. Back to my Curvy Girl days, very, very long story, which I'll not bore you with. But I've got a bit of a thing around that. But if I didn't, then absolutely, for other clients, getting out there, getting their name known, having, these entries, even being a finalist is such a brilliant way of getting your name out there. For me, it has literally been making connections. I'm a very friendly person. You could put me anywhere and I'll make friends and talk to people, but I think doing it from a place of value. And I've given so much to communities over the years and always helped them that, it really does start to come back on you. And you want to be known as the person that people come to. And it's great for me, after doing this for so long, when I get people coming up to me and saying, oh, they've heard of me or they follow me on Instagram. It's an amazing feeling, because finance is not, I think it's sexy because it's money, but not everybody wants to talk about accounts.
Yeah, which I can totally relate to. I only like to talk to you when things are going well. But I can totally relate to that. And I think you're absolutely right around things coming back. And actually, you've got to be there to make those connections in the first place. And a lot of people do know who you are. And obviously, as we said, we met in 2016, 2017, whenever it was. And I obviously knew what you did, and then we've just seen each other at events over the years and sort of loosely kept in touch. But then when the time was right for me to seek your support, you were there. And I think that's the case for a lot of businesses, where people might not be ready to work with you right away, but actually they just need to know that you're there.
Absolutely. And that, I know I keep banging on about this, but that comes back to the visibility. I don't know if you remember, but you actually contacted me when you were looking to recruit. The first time you were actually going to employ people in your last business.
Did I?
Yeah, and you asked me, and I said, look, we'll jump on a call, we'll talk through the package that you're going to be offering. Yeah, I remember. I mean, I've got a great memory. That's one of the reasons I'm good at what I do. And we talked through what that would look like, how much you would be paying, what the costs were and everything, because it was a big thing for you. And we really talked through that. So I didn't do that with any view to getting anything in return, but then obviously now
Here we are 10 years later, literally.
Yeah, I know,
10 years
doing
later.
it. So it just shows when you do that from a place. And I see so many people now that want those instant results, and it just doesn't happen like that. And I think more people need to understand how much work is put into this. And the people who are very high profile and visible out there, none of them are overnight successes, and they all still have to work at it, even if it's an online, offline business, anyone. You and I work super hard in our business. We're constantly doing it. Interestingly, which I'm going to talk about, is the fact that when you take your eye off the visibility or the sales and the marketing piece and think everything's great, everything's doing well, you take your eye off that, that's when you have problems in your business. So I learnt that very early on. And I'm always very, very conscious of making sure that once a month I've got something that's making me visible. If I'm not speaking in a membership, I'm going to an event. I always try and have 3 sales calls a week lined up, no matter how busy I am. I'm always thinking 1 or 2 steps ahead, and that it comes down to the visibility strategy that I have.
I really like that, and I've seen your what do you call it?
It's
my Asana.
It's my goals for the year. So
and I think that's really good to break it down in that way. You were showing me earlier how you have like your visibility column, and you've got 10 things this month, but then only 2 in a few
Yeah, for
months.
example, August, I've got nothing. Now,
Yes.
I feel like I've spent my last 6 months travelling and going to events. But in actually fact, August, I've got nothing in. So for me, I can look at that and go, right, well, what am I going to do in August and where am I going to put my time? Because time, like money, vanishes.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think that having that focus and having it written down somewhere is a really great way to see that
100%.
at a glance and to reflect on what's worked.
You can see your gaps easier.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I need to get as organised as you. Jo, it's been absolutely awesome to speak to you today about why people should invest and how they can approach that and think about what they allocate in terms of time and money to raising their profile. If anyone is listening who hasn't come across you in the online or offline world before, where's the best place for them to connect with you?
Instagram. I pride myself on the only accountant in the world who's not on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn, but I don't hang out there. Instagram is my jam. That's where I am. Just sure you'll put it in the show notes.
We will.
Financial Growth Academy UK.
Awesome. We'll make sure that's in the show notes so that you can connect with Jo.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. If you're serious about growing your profile, take our free profile assessment quiz to see where you're at right now and get hints and tips on how to improve your score. You'll find the link to the quiz in the show notes. If you've enjoyed the episode, it would be mint if you'd subscribe, like, and leave a review. See you next Monday.